Hi, gang. It's Patrick.
And JT.
Coming up on today's episode, we're joined by special guest Melanie from the Disney Buzz podcast to talk about her recent trip with JT to Walt Disney World and their experience at the Festival of the Arts. As always, we discuss the latest Disney news, and we close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
JT, Festival of Everyone's Fantasy, Landry.
Patrick, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay, Tiana's coming to save the day, Kazuke.
Ooh, you rhyme now. I like it. Sensible. It's true. Splash Mountain has splashed its last splash, hasn't it?
It is now in that great big attraction graveyard in the sky. I don't know.
It truly is. Have you heard the rumors? I don't know if this is true. I haven't really investigated it because I'm really hoping America is smarter than this. But I heard that people are selling water from Splash Mountain in jars on eBay.
I have seen the screenshots, and I would like to say that I am shocked and surprised, but I'm really not. And I'm sure it's probably just tap out of someone's garden hose. Because that water has never been that clear unless you're talking 1992.
Yeah. It's just full of like racial innuendo and it tastes like inappropriateness, I feel like. I don't recommend purchasing Splash Mountain water if you're out there.
Probably faintly smells of half-eaten, discarded turkey leg carcasses.
Now I'm interested a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well,
you've piqued my interest.
That covers a multitude of sins.
Yes. Turkey water. Delicious. Oh,
goodness.
JT, however are you, my friend?
You know, Patrick, I am well.
Okay.
We were just chatting about what a long week it has been. I feel like for a lot of people, like let's say you had the holidays and then you had New Year's and then you did the marathon and all these sorts of things. And we had Martin Luther King weekend. It feels like the first really full work week of the year. And that's always a doozy.
It is a doozy. And also, I mean, like, I know this is cliche, but January just tends to drag on forever and ever and ever. Like, I feel like it is January 47th today.
It is. Right? It is. Yes.
In fact, I was just thinking in my head, I was like, wait, when will this episode come out? Will it come out in February? It won't. It'll still come out on January 30th.
It'll be January.
Because January will never end, but we'll get through it. We'll get through it somehow.
But how are you, Patrick?
More importantly,
how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. I mean, same. Like, it's just been a doozy of a work week as, things, the new year is beginning. And so everyone has just some fresh hell to give us at work,
right.
You know? That's how I'm feeling about it. But I'm feeling optimistic about this new year, you know?
Yes. And the days are getting longer.
That's right. They sure are.
In good ways and bad ways.
Yes, it's true. It's very true. Well, we have a super fun episode coming up, as you already heard on the intro. We have a special guest who's going to join us pretty soon. But before all that, we have some business to get through and some news to get through. So what do you say we plow right through it?
I love to plow right through things.
I thought that you would. Well, should we start off with jumping into some Tweedle feedback?
I think that's a capital idea.
I love it. I love this journey for us. Do you want to kick us off or do you want me to go?
I would love to kick us off.
Do it, won't you?
All right. Our first piece of feedback comes from @Derek_in_Lewis, friend of the pod and friend to us. Derek is actually, full disclosure, a good friend of mine here in Nashville. Derek says, thanks for keeping me company on my run this morning. Your description of the Walking Dead highway portion of the race with the sun beating down on us about laid me out dead. Spot on. I had such an incredible and rewarding experience, but I agree with everything you said about the course, about that insufferable stretch of highway that had zero shade, about the criminal, that's all caps, criminal loop we did around the Blizzard Beach parking lot, and about how the Hollywood studio stretch felt like barely a blip in the grand scheme of things. And the fact that they exhausted the Goofy movie soundtrack all week and then never even had a Powerline Max on the course was a choice. But I'll never forget any of it. Such a fun week.
Oh, I love that. Here's why I know I like Derek, because he incorporated a sentence that I always love hearing, that being, and I agree with everything you said. So thank you. Thank you so much, Derek.
I know. I can just feel you just elevating out of your chair in pride. And can we give a quick little plug for Derek really quick?
Yeah,
Derek and his friend Jeremy also co-host another great Disney podcast. If you are not exhausted by Disney talk yet, they host the Mad Chatters podcast, which is a really fun time. So check them out.
Yes, give them a listen and a follow, and thank you for reaching out to us, Derek. A delight as per usual. Moving on, we have at KDevo11 saying, I was the same way as Patrick. Already off to a great start, KDevo. They go on to say, I said that I would never, ever, ever consider completing a marathon. Then my husband and I ended up getting engaged at mile 3 of our very first half marathon together, and now have completed multiple races. November 2021, I completed my first ever Run Disney Challenge doing the 10K and half marathon, and now I am currently training for the Princess Weekend as well as the Springtime Surprise Weekend. My goodness. Wow. They go on to say, Patrick, you are so right that Run Disney really inspires people, and it keeps me going every day to become more fit and to complete longer races. I started to say it last year, and I'm continuing to say it, but either this next one or in 2 years, I am signing up for and running the Disney Marathon. Kale, I could be your training accountability partner.
Be careful what you sign up for.
I don't know what will be worse, trying to be accountable on behalf of Kale or running the full marathon. But I think you'll be more successful with the marathon.
Getting engaged on mile 3 of first half. I mean, Patrick, some people really can have it all.
I love that. I wonder why mile 3. Like, I need to know the significance behind. Was it a delightful like character that was a mile marker? Were you 3 years into your relationship? What's the
3 days into the relationship?
3 days, yeah. No judgment. I love it.
3 hours did they meet in the corral?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Truly a Disney story if it was only 3 hours into it and they got married.
Listen, tale as old as time.
Tale as old as time. I love it. Well, thank you, KDevo, and congratulations on all of those runs. It's true. You never say never, because it'll come and haunt you. It'll actually turn into something. Maybe is that like the reverse, putting it on your vision board? Like if you just say it's never going to happen, it will happen then?
Ooh, I have a few things I'm going to utilize that on and see what happens.
I like it.
I'll never find love. There, I said.
Yeah. Take it out of the atmosphere. I think that's the new phrase. Take it out of the atmosphere.
Take it out. Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Love it. Well, moving on, we finally have, for the first time in a long time, a voice memo from one of our tweedles. Your favorite and my favorite, Auntie Myrna. Should we give that a listen?
Patrick, would you say that's for the first time in forever that we've had a voicemail?
I would say that. I would say it is the first time in forever.
There you go.
Auntie Myrna spoke to us. All right, well, and here is Auntie Myrna's voice memo.
Hi, beautiful humans. Auntie Myrna here. I finally got all caught up on the pod. My serotonin levels are at an all-time high. You make my cardio splendid. As per Patrick's race report, I can verify that 2020 I did the dopey and the marathon coming into Animal Kingdom. My BFF and I collectively at the exact same time had a complete and utter meltdown, stopped moving, and then told ourselves each mile marker we were going to say what we were blessed with just to try and make it through. And we did have the chance to go into Blizzard Beach, and I think that is a mistake because it was disgustingly hot, and you see all this beautiful, cool luscious water, and it's torture. So I think the parking lot is the way to go. All that to say, congratulations, Patrick. And I love listening to all of you joyful voices. And I can't wait to hear more. Love you. Bye.
What a delight. What a joy.
My serotonin levels are elevated after listening to that delightful voicemail.
I love that we bring her serotonin level. Like, we are a workout in it. Just K's do the D. A true workout.
I have, yes.
Just physically exhausting.
Physically exhausting. We truly wear people out.
We do. We really do. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, God.
So the 2020 run that she's talking about is when I actually met her as well, and her friends. They are part of the Canadian Tweedles with Nick and Dave.
Okay.
So, yeah, what a delightful group, and always a joy to hear your voice, Auntie Myrna.
I hope I get to meet her in person someday.
I'm certain you will. We're going to take it out of the atmosphere, so it will happen.
Yeah, I'll never see her.
That's right. Now you're catching on.
There we go. That's it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, with that, speaking of serotonin levels, let's bring ours up as well by heading into the I'm celebrating portion of the episode. What do you say?
I am always ready to celebrate.
As am I. I'll kick us off this time,
Okay.
JT, if you will. Starting
I will
off.
not.
Thank you. Taking that out of the atmosphere as well. Starting with at Wheeze Soups. Wheeze Soups? WEEZSUPES. I need to know all about that name. Very interested. But they are celebrating work week ending, work and payroll, so been trying to finish all the W-2 stuff. Oh, what a nightmare. I celebrate you. I celebrate
Yes,
you.
absolutely. At Andy Heath Puppeteer is celebrating landing a new commercial with a gorgeous puppet character. Congratulations, Andy, but I did not give my permission to have a puppet character made of me.
Gorgeous.
You'll hear from my lawyers.
Fair. That's fair enough. And we want to see pictures, though, of this gorgeous puppet character.
Yes.
Moving on, we have at Dwayne Brooks celebrating COVID-free. Congratulations. I assume that means that you did have COVID. I'm so sorry to hear that, but so glad you're feeling better.
Yes. And Tomorrowland Lane. We know Tomorrowland Lane.
Sure do.
He is celebrating menu released for the new barbecue restaurant in Disney's Hollywood Studios. I believe that is Woody's Barbecue Roundup. Is that correct, Patrick?
I think Jesse actually is the character in it, but stay tuned for the news because I'll be talking all about the opening of this restaurant.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. We also have at Clancy Bell celebrating just simply being alive. Amen.
Amen to
Clancy
that.
Bell.
Well, Danko Direct is also celebrating being alive, but he sees that being alive and he raises it a Q Bernadette Peters lip sync.
Ooh, interested in that.
Interested, yep.
I love this. And then finally, we have at Brandon Rich of Bourbon Hill. I love that name because bourbon is in it. Celebrating the Alla Prima Manhattan from Dahlia Lounge. And I am fully with you. That is the most delicious drink on property, I feel like.
We stand with you. We drink with you.
We do. In front of you, behind you, next to you, under the table, all of it.
All of
I
it.
love it. Well, thank you, everybody, for sending in your celebrations this week. We love to see them, and we love to celebrate along with you. And I'll add my own celebration this week, JT. I am celebrating that you have taken over a task that I love to do, but I was happy to not do it this week because I know that it's something that you love as well. You are sending us into This Week in Disney History with Professor Landry.
That's right, Patrick. Class is in session.
The library is officially open on This Week in Disney History.
Pencils down, eyes on me. Well, we do have a couple of exciting little tidbits in This Week in Disney History. On January 29th, 1959, Disney's animated feature film Sleeping Beauty made its premiere at the Fox Wilshire Theater in Los Angeles. That voice cast included Mary Costa as Princess Aurora, Eleanor Audley, who should be a Disney legend and is not, as Maleficent, Barbara Jo Allen as Fauna, Verna Felton as Flora, Bill Shirley as Prince Philip, and in his last voice role, actor Taylor Holmes as King Stefan. The film was directed by Les Clark, Eric Larson, and Wolfgang Reitherman. And Sleeping Beauty is also, of course, very well known for being the first animated feature to be done in the Technorama widescreen process. It was also the last Disney feature to use hand-inked cells. And it is also famous for the art direction by Ivan Earl. Also released with Sleeping Beauty in 1959 was a live-action documentary short called Grand Canyon.
I did not know that. What a beautiful, beautiful film this is.
So
it's
gorgeous.
Just a masterpiece, you know?
So gorgeous. And I mean, and even beyond that, just some really funny stuff in it with the three fairies.
Yes.
Just the cattiness is elite.
And such a female forward movie as well. Like all of really the main characters are all powerful female characters, right? Even Prince Philip is like, take him or leave him. He didn't really do all that much stuff, but
right.
Yeah. Anyways.
And then on January 30th, 1988, Walt Disney World debuted Illuminations at Epcot Center. Illuminations was, of course, a nightly show that featured special effects, theme music, lights, water, fireworks. What's interesting is that over the next 24 years, there were 3 different versions of Illuminations.
Because wasn't it supposed to not be around for that long? Wasn't it? I thought it was like an anniversary celebration or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
I don't think they ever intend for anything to be around as long as it is.
Yeah. Well, certainly not anymore.
Yeah. Patrick, did you know there was would you like to hear what the very first ever voiceover was for Illuminations?
Of course I would.
Good evening and welcome to World Showcase. Tonight we are pleased to present a visual journey in international fantasy of music and light. We're about to embark on a sparkling, abstract expedition around World Showcase. With the music as your passport, we'll discover sights and sounds from colorful ports of call. And to celebrate our journey, the countries will be united by the festive elements of water, fire, and light. And now, let your imagination be your guide as Epcot Center proudly presents Illuminations.
Oh, and I can hear the sound of like the missile that launches right then and there. That weird, like, wait, what's happening right now?
Yeah. Did you see all 3 iterations of Illuminations, Patrick?
No, I didn't start going to Disney World until I think I was maybe 30-ish or so. So, 10 years ago. So I don't believe I did.
So the first time I ever saw it was 1989. And fun fact, my little 10-year-old self thought that it was pronounced, God, I just gave away my age. We're going to edit that out. Nope. Whoops. My little self thought it was pronounced Alumni Nations, like a celebration of college graduates from around the globe.
I celebrate college graduates.
I always, yes.
Yeah.
So I actually convinced my father that it was pronounced that way. And I don't know if you remember the Walt Disney World, if anybody remembers the Welcome Center for Disney World that was in Ocala, Florida, but it was always a part of our trips where we would drive down and stop at this visitor center. And that year, I made my dad go up to the attendant at the information desk at the Welcome Center and actually ask if we needed tickets for Alumni Nations. And she looked at him like he had fallen off of the turnip truck yesterday.
Oh, no.
And quickly corrected him. And then my dad came over to me and was like, I can't believe you did that. And I was like, I really didn't know.
You're out of the family. Get out.
Yes.
You have to walk the rest of the way to Disney World.
Yes. But anyway, Patrick, we go on.
We do. Oh, how we go on.
Oh, how we go on.
Well, that was great. Those are 2 beautiful moments in Disney history, like
Thank
literally
you.
aesthetically pleasing moments in Disney history.
Thank you so much.
And before we head into the news, we have a very special announcement. Speaking of Epcot, this is very apropos for this giveaway that we're about to do, courtesy of your most recent trip to Walt Disney World for the Festival of the Arts. Yes, JT waited in line for 8 hours. Just kidding. But he did. He was kind enough to snag us one of the, I don't know, can we call it controversial at this point? The Figment Popcorn Bucket.
Provocative, controversial.
Great word. But you officially have your hands on a Figment Popcorn Bucket, which someone else will soon have their hands on.
Yes, my hands have been all over it.
It's worth so much more now.
It's worth so much more now. This is how much I care about our Tweedles, Patrick, that I collected one of these. And I have to say our special guest coming up later actually was the one to cart it around the park the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So many thanks to her as well. But yes, I am looking at a Figment popcorn bucket that I will say, to sweeten the pot, so to speak, it still has the packaged up rainbow popcorn inside.
Oh my gosh. Well done to you. I love this. Well,
listen, we give our Tweedles the full package.
We sure do. And I do have to say, it is more adorable than I thought it was going to be. It's really cute.
It is super cute. I almost bought a plane ticket for it so it could sit next to me.
I mean,
on the plane home, but
I'm surprised you didn't get robbed on the way out of the park carrying one of those buckets. Because they did sell out officially, right? I think they're already gone at this point, aren't they?
They may be. I mean, I will say the way they handled the popcorn buckets this year, or at least for Festival of the Arts, and I don't know if this was the first time they've handled it this way or not, but I thought it was pretty genius. You could mobile order a popcorn bucket and they would give you a specific window. So they were able to parse out the buckets according to the reservations in the windows.
Yeah.
And they would not release them all on the first day. So they did sell out eventually for the first day's allotment, but they had a whole other allotment of popcorn buckets that they opened up for the second day.
So smart. This is the correct usage of mobile order and virtual queues. This is exactly what it's intended to be for. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. I love that. Well done. Well done to Disney and well done you.
Well, thank you. Well, and it made for a very orderly pickup process. You would go to the Odyssey building, which is now the Festival Center. You would show them your phone screen, just like you would show for your mobile app, for your mobile order, for when it's ready. And they would check that and then send you back. Someone else would point you to the counter and you would show it again and you'd pick up the bucket and you would leave.
So great. I love that. And then you're not spending your entire day waiting in line to get a popcorn bucket.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your service to our podcast, JT. We salute you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I love it. Well, why don't you tell the Tweedles at home how they can win this popcorn bucket?
I would love to. Here's what you got to do. It's pretty simple. Head on over to our Instagram at GDTD Podcast. If you aren't already, follow us. Like the post featuring the giveaway, and then comment by tagging 3 of your Disney-loving friends, and you'll be entered to win. If you want a second entry and double your chances, you can repost our post and tag us at GDTD Podcast, or add it to your stories and tag us there. Entries will be accepted up until 6 p.m. on February 10th. That's Friday, February 10th. Patreon members are already entered to win, but can obtain extra entries by following the above steps. So if you are a Tweedle, you have the chance to have 2 entries. If you're a Patreon, you have the chance to get up to 3 entries. Winners will be contacted via Instagram shortly after that to get their mailing info, and their name will be announced on our Monday, February 13th episode. And we should say this giveaway is in no way affiliated with or sponsored by Disney or Instagram, because ain't nobody helped me get this but me.
It's true. It is enhanced though by the My Disney Experience app. So thank you, My Disney Experience.
That is true. Thank you, technology.
Yeah. And we should reiterate, Patreon members at home, we do apologize. We only were able to get 1 popcorn bucket, so we don't have a separate contest just for you. But as JT said, you are already entered to win this, so you still have just as much of a chance as anybody else does. Actually, you have 1 more chance than everybody else does. So the odds are ever in your favor.
Welcome to the Popcorn Bucket Games.
Welcome. May the odds be in your flavor. Ooh. Heyo. Amazing. Well, JT, what do you say we mobile order our way into some news segments?
Details at 10.
You got to wake up at 4 a.m., though, to listen to this news. JT, it's time to put on my Eton dress because Disney World has finally announced an opening date for the much anticipated Roundup Rodeo Barbecue within Toy Story Land in Hollywood Studios. Lasso your calendars for March 23rd, 2023. The theme of the restaurant is a rodeo arena for all of Andy's toys, including larger-than-life game pieces, characters, and toys as the sets. The space will include unique designs and art that will only be seen within the restaurant. According to the website, the dining room will be in 2 sections, with Jessie and Trixie hosting one room and Bo Peep and her sheep hosting the other. Beyond that, we haven't been told much more about what to expect aesthetically, but we do have some more info on the most important element, the food. So, a few of the offerings available will be the Prospector's homemade cheddar biscuits with sweet pepper jelly, a fresh tomato salad with cucumbers and pickled red onions, a watermelon salad with mint, and a whole bunch of house-smoked meats, including Buttercup's beef brisket, barbecue chicken, and my favorite title ever, There's a Sausage in My Boot, which is, that is a for real title of a menu item, which is spiked pork sausage, fire grilled over oak. There are also a few plant-based options, which will also be available, including a slow-smoked cauliflower with sweet harissa and a crunchy walnut gremolata, and an impossible rib chop glazed with barbecue sauce and served on a sugarcane bone. Sides will also be available, including the Married Spuds, which are loaded potato barrels with green goddess dressing, cheese sauce, and barbecue spices, the Force Field fried pickles, the Slinky Dog mac and cheese, and campfire roasted vegetables. A few highlights from the dessert menu include the Cupcake a la Forky, which is a chocolate cake with buttercream and a sugar cookie on the side, Billy's Chocolate Silk Pie, Goat's Apple Pie, and Gruff's Peach Strawberry Pie. And of course, they will be serving drinks, including a Snake Eye Margarita, a frozen peanut butter and jelly whiskey, and a Rodeo Mule. No word yet on when reservations will be available, but I have to imagine it'll be very soon.
I'm sorry, I was thinking about a sausage in my boot.
That's a weird place to put a sausage, but I'll take it.
I mean, you know, wherever you can fit it in. I first of all, I have to say, I just love how Disney has to, because of like trademarks and things, the names they have to come up with for things like,
oh my gosh,
tater tots or potato barrels.
I know.
Rice Krispie treats or crisped rice treats. It just, it never ceases to give me a little bit of glee and joy when I see stuff like that. But no, my thoughts, they're really leaning into like the cowboy part of Toy Story Land.
With this restaurant specifically, yeah.
Well, and then you've got like Woody's Lunchbox. And it's like, I still don't understand why we're not getting a really authentic, tricked out Pizza Planet.
I know. This is the age-old question that everybody's like, what on earth were you thinking not putting one in there? At least, even if it's not a crazy, like at least like a walk-up pizza place that is, you know, that's that right outside of the what is it called? The aliens swirling saucers.
Yeah.
I
mean, even just toss slices of pizza as people as they swirl by in their saucers.
I will say on the flip side of that, I'm grateful for this restaurant because it gives you a lot more options than like a pizza place would have. So
that's true.
Like appeases more family members, I imagine.
And I think it's great to have another sit down restaurant at Hollywood Studios.
Absolutely.
Right?
I wish that they were open for breakfast though. That's the one thing. Hollywood Studios has like almost no breakfast options. If you have to eat at your resort or eat a pretzel basically for breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, there really are limited. I mean, there's you can get a breakfast Ronto wrap, and that's
kind of it. There's a couple of things open at the lunchbox, and then there's like Joffrey's Cafe, but it's real limited, and it's really hard to get into. So
it is.
We shall see. But it's an exciting menu, and I think it's going to be a really cute restaurant too.
I think so too. It'll fit well in that land, I think.
Agreed. And if nothing else, there will be a sausage in your boot.
And what more can you ask for?
No, that's all. Nothing.
Well, Patrick, gird your loins and open up that pocketbook because Disney has announced more details on the Disney 100 anniversary celebration, including 100 things for you to do, buy, and eat. The Disney 100 anniversary celebration officially kicked off on January 27th at the Disneyland Resort. The Disneyland Resort is sort of the centralized hub for the Disney 100 celebration. And there are, of course, lots of programs and things going on. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway opened on January 27th at Disneyland Resort in Mickey's Toontown. That is basically sort of a facsimile of the attraction that is in Disney's Hollywood Studios. We also have a brand new nighttime spectacular in Disney California Adventure called World of Color 1. No, that is not a tribute to U2. That is that does celebrate the storytelling legacy started by Walt Disney, illustrating how a single action, like a drop of water, creates a ripple that can grow into a wave of change. It is the first Disneyland Resort nighttime spectacular to feature characters, music, and moments from both Walt Disney Animation Studios, Pixar Animation Studios, The Avengers, and Star Wars in the same production.
Very cool.
Across the Esplanade at Disneyland Park, Wondrous Journeys will transform Main Street USA, Sleeping Beauty Castle, the facade of It's a Small World, and the Rivers of America into an artist's canvas with lighting effects, customized projections, and more. This nighttime spectacular is created by Disney Live Entertainment and will take you on an epic adventure through 100 years of Walt Disney Animation Studio storytelling. And you will probably wait 100 years on the curb to get a decent viewing location on Main Street.
I imagine. I heard some of the soundtrack from that. They released a little bit of it, and it sounds really cool.
I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
We also, Disneyland Resort will also have platinum-infused decor throughout the theme parks. Ooh, right? Platinum-infused decor. Just like my home.
That's right.
Around the resort, you'll find platinum statues and medallions, for which, of course, will make for great photo opportunities. At Disneyland Park, Sleeping Beauty Castle will be accented by 2 new water fountains and dressed in platinum banners and bunting. That's a word we don't use very often anymore, bunting.
Sure don't.
A magnificent... I do not know do you know what a cabochon is?
I think I went to school with him.
Oh.
But yeah.
Was he cute?
Obviously.
And a shining wishing star. On Main Street USA, you may find Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, and their pals in platinum-inspired looks designed to reflect the optimism and creativity that are at the heart of everything Disney. Patrick, have you seen the new platinum looks on the characters?
Yes, I've only seen renderings. I haven't seen them live and in person, obviously.
Yeah, I've only seen the renderings too, but Daisy
cute.
is serving.
Yeah, they're really, really cute.
And of course, what would a Disney celebration be without food and drink? There will be a century of magic you can savor through specialty food and beverages like the Platinum Trifle and Potato and Cheddar Cheeseburger. Those are 2 different items, by the way. You can also collect novelties such as the Disney 100 Mickey Mouse Sipper and the Platinum Mickey Mouse Balloon Bucket. Speaking of popcorn buckets. You can check out the full Disney Eats foodie guide for the Disney 100 anniversary celebration online at Disneyland Resort's website. And of course, it's a celebration. What would also a celebration be without some merch to buy?
I mean,
there are commemorative Disney 100 merchandise and collectibles waiting for you that are going to be released throughout the year, including the Disney, such as the Disney 100 Platinum Celebration Collection, Special Magic Band Plus designs, collectible medallions, and press pennies. And no, we are not going to talk about those ears that they released on this show.
So inappropriate.
So inappropriate. They speak for themselves.
They do.
But part of this, and I don't know if this would be considered the centerpiece, but the Disney Gallery is presenting Disney 100 Years of Wonder. This is going to be a special exhibition on Main Street, USA in Disneyland Park at the Disney Gallery. This is inspired by Walt Disney's vision for Disneyland to be a place where his films come to life. Inside, you'll see beautiful artwork created by original Disney animators for some of Walt's early films, alongside artwork that is concepted by original Disney Imagineers to recreate those stories in the park. The exhibit will also display an animator's desk. I really pronounced that very weird. I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. An animator's desk, a model of a multi-plane camera, and more. It is a magnificent tribute to Disney films that became Disneyland resort attractions, park experiences that later inspired Disney films, and the rich traditions they both share. But wait, there's more.
Hooray.
Returning February 24th is the Magic Happens Parade, which I think we said on this show about 5 people saw before the world shuts down. Mm-hmm. But yes, it will make its highly anticipated return on February 24th. And wait, there's more. Mickey's Toontown is reopening on March 8th.
I love Toontown.
Yeah. And there's also the Disney 100 Years exhibit that is going to be traveling the country that I think begins in February at the Philadelphia Museum of Art.
Right. Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, rightfully so. It's a really big celebration for sure.
It is. It feels like this is the biggest sort of company. Well, I think this is the very first celebration that has ever stretched company-wide, right?
Yeah, it'll have elements in all of the parks throughout the world, for sure, with Disneyland being sort of the hub of it all, rightfully so.
Yeah. I mean, and with the traveling exhibit, and then you've got the new Disney 100 logo that opens all of the Walt Disney Pictures films. It feels like they're really putting a lot of energy behind it.
For sure. And I have to say, it's my favorite design I've seen for any celebration so far within Disney. It's just so perfectly, it captures like the minimalistic animation from days of yore, and it also like elevates it just a little bit, just enough to make it modern as well. It's really beautiful. If
I agreed with you anymore, Patrick, I would be you.
We're just dripping with excitement over this merchandise. Welcome, foolish runners, to the return of the Run Disney Coast to Coast Challenge. I will be your host, your coast host. Ooh. You like that? You like that, JT?
I did.
It was just for you. So, beginning in 2024, Run Disney participants now have 2 options available to receive one of 2 different Coast to Coast Challenge medals. What's the Coast to Coast Challenge? So glad you asked. Many moons ago, Disneyland also had Run Disney weekends, which included a unique Coast to Coast Challenge to run. I believe a half marathon in Disneyland and one in Disney World in the same calendar year. This challenge, of course, went away in 2018 when Disneyland had to cancel all races due to construction. This past D23 Expo, Josh Daddy DeMauro announced that the Disneyland Run Disney Half Marathon Weekend would be returning in 2024, and with that brings the return of the Coast to Coast Challenge. Now, as I said, there are now 2 ways to earn a challenge medal. The first being the more difficult journey, which Disney is calling Track 1, with completing the Disneyland Half Marathon along with either the full marathon or the half marathon during the Disney World 2024 Marathon Weekend. Completing the challenge this way will earn you a special version of the Coast to Coast Race Challenge medal, which will only be available by completing the challenge in this fashion in 2024. Now, here's why it's the more challenging version. The Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend runs January 4th through the 8th, and the Disneyland Half Marathon Weekend is January 11th through the 14th, giving runners a matter of days to get from Florida to California to complete the challenge. Now, it should be noted that completing the Dumbo Double Dare, the Goofy's Race and a Half, or the Dopey Challenge will also qualify you for the medal, as they would fulfill the same requirements. And should you complete the Dopey and the Dumbo challenges, you will go home with, if my math is correct, 10 different medals. insanity.
Patrick, I Dumbo double dare you to do this coast to coast challenge.
In no way is that in my future. I'm taking that out of the atmosphere.
Oh,
right now.
oh no, you need to put that back in. If you
I'm putting it back in.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. You're back in. Now on to the second way to earn a coast-to-coast medal, or Track 2. Along with the January 2024 Disneyland Half Marathon, you must also complete one of the following: the Disney Princess Half Marathon or the Disney Fairy Tale Challenge in February 2024, the Springtime Surprise 10-mile or the Springtime Surprise Challenge in April 2024, or the Wine and Dine Half Marathon or 2-course challenge in November of 2024. Completing the challenge this way will earn you a different coast-to-coast challenge medal that the website is calling unique, which likely means it will be the standard coast-to-coast medal that you would get any other year. But it is still very special. A few things to note: there is no separate sign-up for the Coast to Coast Challenge beyond signing up for the qualifying events. The first being the Disney Half Marathon, which opens for registration this February 14th. Now, even if you complete Track 1 and Track 2, you will only get the medal for completing Track 1. Challenge completers will get their coast-to-coast medal at the finish line after completing the second portion of the qualifying runs, and none of the virtual races will count toward this medal. You must run them at the actual events. Is that clear as mud, JT?
So you're saying, let me see if I've got all this right. You have to run from Orlando, Florida to Anaheim, California.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's all you need to do.
Got
Just
it.
run from coast to coast.
Got it.
Let's start now.
Okay.
Now, I heard JT, you saying to me, you put a little bird on my shoulder, and that little bird said to me that you are thinking of doing a Run Disney event this year.
Patrick, that was just for you and me.
No, anything
didn't...
you tell me is for everyone to hear.
No, it's true. It's true. I don't know, Pat. It's like I've seen, Lord, I've seen what you've done for others. No, I've seen, I've seen my other friends like run these races, and I see how fulfilling it seems. And I don't know, like it seems like a fun personal challenge. And so I am pondering either doing the Wine and Dine half this year.
Love that journey for you.
If not the Wine and Dine half this year, I'm definitely thinking about the Princess half next year.
I love both those options. I really think Wine and Dine is a good one to do because you get that party afterwards as well.
Yeah. But here's my thing. I've got to do it when I have other people that are also doing it. I don't want to do my first one like that on my own.
Fair
you know,
enough.
You know what I mean? I'm not like that's not my testimony. That's Eponine's testimony. That's not mine.
That's right. She is on her own.
She is on her own.
I will start the race with you, but then about halfway through, I'll be like, I don't know her. Sorry. And then I'm going to run past you.
Would you be at the finish line, though, waiting for me?
Let's be honest. You'll probably finish before I will. I am not.
Doubt it. You've run how many marathons?
One marathon.
That's more than me. That's more than me.
That is one more than me.
And the Oscar goes to the Walt Disney Company. Maybe. When the Academy Award nominations were announced for the 95th Oscars on January 24th, the Walt Disney Company came out on top, leading all studios with 22 Academy Award nominations. Wow. Disney's film studios led the way with 2 Best Picture nominations for 20th Century Studios' Avatar: The Way of Water and Searchlight Pictures' The Banshees of Inisherin. The Banshees of Inisherin received 9 nominations total, tying for the second most nominations for a film, including, besides Best Picture, Best Director for Martin McDonagh, Best Actor for Colin Farrell, Best Supporting Actor for Brendan Gleeson, and Best Supporting Actor for Barry Keoghan, and Best Supporting Actress for Carrie Condon, Best Original Screenplay for Martin McDonagh, Best Film Editing for Michael E.G. Nielsen, and Best Original Score for Carter Burwell. Wow. Searchlight Pictures, in addition to The Banshees of Inisherin, also secured a nomination for Best Cinematography for the Sam Mendes film Empire of Light. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever received 5 total nominations, including future Best Supporting Actress winner Angela Bassett, future Best Costume Design winner Ruthie Carter, who won the Costume Design Oscar for Black Panther, Best Original Song for Lift Me Up, which was written by Timms, Ludwig Göransson, who also wrote the score, Rihanna and Ryan Coogler, and Best Makeup and Hairstyling, and Best Visual Effects. Avatar: The Way of Water complemented its Best Picture nomination with 3 other nominations, including Best Production Design, Best Sound, and Best Visual Effects. Pixar's Turning Red was nominated for Best Animated Feature Film, and the National Geographic Documentary Films Division received a nomination for Best Documentary Feature Film for Fire of Love. And the final nomination from the Walt Disney Company was Disney Branded Television's Les Pupilles.
Okay, sure.
Les Pupilles for Best Live Action Short. You can tune in to ABC on March 12th, 2023 to watch the 95th Oscars hosted by Jimmy Kimmel to see how the Walt Disney Company does when everything is all said and done.
The Disney-owned ABC, we should be sure to mention.
Yeah, I was going to say, not that that's any consideration at all.
No.
Yeah, so good luck, Disney.
Yeah.
Sail on your golden wing across the sky to California for the Oscars.
I mean, yeah, Black Panther for the win for everything, right? That's where I'm putting all my money.
Yeah, I mean, I think Black Panther is guaranteed at least 2 Oscars. I think Ruth Carter is going to win for Best Costume Design again, and Angela Bassett is the front runner for Best Supporting Actress, and I think she's got it all basically sewn up at this point.
I believe so. Very exciting. I haven't seen the Oscars for the past maybe 4 or 5 years. I don't know what it is. I'm in my twilight years, I'm just not interested anymore.
Well, and in all fairness, the last couple of years have been very odd Oscar ceremonies.
That's true.
There was the one that was in the train station, and then last year was the slap heard round the world.
I forgot about that. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Patrick, we called. We manifested Angela Bassett's Oscar win when we had our full coven together.
Oh, we sure
back
did.
in October.
We took her right out of the atmosphere and we made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
No, I believe if we don't appear in her speech, we're going to have words.
I mean, speaking of that, her speech is the one I think I am most excited to hear.
Because she's going to name us all. That's
right.
Why.
Exactly.
Tweedles, one and all, it is my distinct pleasure to not only have JT from the Disney Buzz on our podcast as a regular co-host, but now we have the joy and the pleasure of having Melanie from the Disney Buzz as our guest princess, maybe? Our guest queen, our special guest for this episode of Gaze to the D. Melanie, welcome to the pod.
What an introduction. Oh my goodness. How could I possibly live up to that? I will take the moniker queen, please. Thank you.
It's appropriate.
Don't make me
for
sing.
Gaze to the D. Yeah. Queen with a Q-W-E-E-N.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we'll
Is
spell
there
it
any
in our
other
hearts.
way? Yes, please.
There isn't. There really isn't. As you know, as a listener of Gaze to the D, and as our Tweedles know, I am a huge fan of both of you and your work on the Disney Buzz. It's one of my go-to, or probably my only at this point, go-to other Disney podcasts that I love listening to. You both have such a good breadth of knowledge and a joy and passion for Disney that is infectious. So I'm excited to have you here on Gaze to the D, where we're infectious in a whole other way.
That's
I feel like.
pay to the order of Patrick.
That's right. That's right. This advertisement was sponsored by the Disney Buzz, now available. So, Melanie, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, like, what an incredible compliment. And also, I'm so sorry if we're the only other Disney podcast you're listening to. You've got no listening and haven't had much listening for a few weeks. We have been very booked and very busy. So we've been remiss in giving some content. But I'm so pleased to be here. It's like I said before we went on the air, it's been a minute since I've done any kind of podcast recording. This is kind of nice.
Well, the world is waiting with bated breath until the next episode of the Disney Buzz. Remind our listeners at home, though, Melanie, JT, you stay silent for a while. You've had your say. But Melanie, in your own words, describe to us a little bit what the Disney Buzz is all about.
Well, the Disney Buzz is where me and my friend JT sit around and talk about all things Disney, accompanied by some light to moderate and occasionally heavy drinking, and we just love on the things that we love. There's just so much to talk about, both historically and looking forward into the future. And I don't know, the two of us just really enjoy sitting and talking, and it's amazing to imagine that anybody would be interested in listening to us sitting around talking to each other. But apparently, it's kind of a thing, and we have fun. I mean, we do a themed drink for each episode. Of course, each episode is sort of focused. Otherwise, what is that? That's just insanity of two people sitting around talking. And I'm sure there's plenty of very, very valid and valuable podcasters who enjoy doing things like that. But we like to be a little bit more focused. We'll pick JT does our content selection for the episode, and he's brilliant at it and does a lot of the research. He does the lion's share of the research for that too. So hats off to him for that. And, I will.
I said go on.
Just wait. So each episode does have a theme, and what I do is I take that theme and I sort of curate a theme, a cocktail to accompany that in some way. Either that, or it's just a drink that I want to enjoy, and I sort of force it.
Find a way.
Find a way for it to fit to the theme, and we make it work. So no, it's fun. The Disney Buzz.
Do you have a cocktail pairing with an episode that you're especially proud of that you can think of?
All right. So the first one that always comes to mind, and it's unfortunate that it happens to be an episode that we never aired. And there's good reasons for that.
There is a episode in the vault.
Oh.
Yes. So back it was early 2020 or late 2019 when Disney Plus first launched. And there was all of this incredible new content coming to Disney Plus, and we were all completely high on like the streaming scenario. And JT and I had really good plans to just do an episode where we ran down all the things that we were really excited to watch and to enjoy on Disney Plus. And I came up with a cocktail that we titled the Binge Watcher, which is it's essentially an espresso martini. So, you've got that caffeine boost to get you going, and you've got the martini, vodka, all that good stuff in there to really mellow you out, if you will. Well, we had one before we started recording, and then had a second one while we were recording. And JT, you can go ahead and stop me at any time if I'm oversharing at this point. But we were so
trashed is the word I think you're looking for.
We were completely trashed. We were feeling very little pain by the time we were partway through the second drink, and topics and just focused on whatever content we were recording out the window. We were tangential, just conversation going back and forth, like friends having drinks, sitting around the cup. We completely forgot that we were actually recording an episode. And then we wrapped up, 2.5 hours later. I went home and like you felt this pain as growing pains as you've taken over the editing process of the audio. So that's my role. After we were done doing the recording, I mix it all down and clean it up. This was a task and a half to try and make it into some kind of listenable info. It was so random and hysterical. It was just, It was so funny and it's so fun, but it was not meant for public consumption. This was
would probably be torture for like anyone else listening in.
Oh no!
So we have this singular unaired episode, which personally I think is I bet JT probably shares the sentiment. I love that we have this moment. That we
Absolutely,
shared.
yeah. And the binge watcher was delicious. I mean,
The cocktail, it's what really is very yummy. It's a great cocktail. I've made it a few times since then, but not with a microphone in front of me because I know now. I know.
I think we've all learned the hard way at one point or another of like, ooh, I should temper my speech right now and what I'm saying, and
I should go to a quiet place.
That filter, that filter goes away real fast.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of amazing.
Turns out you can have as many filters on your microphone as you want. It will not stop you from sharing, from oversharing if you've had too many drinks.
We'll wait for somebody to invent that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So before we get into the bulk of the episode, which is a conversation about your recent trip, both you and JT, to Walt Disney World and the Festival of the Arts, Melanie, as a first-time guest on the podcast, not your last time, but your first time on the podcast, we want to get your Diz-story. Give us a Diz-story lesson of how little Melanie found Disney and your journey with Disney since then.
Well, I mean, it's a tale as old as time. Well, my very first visit to Walt Disney World, Florida, was on a family vacation in January of 1986. I was 3 years old and have zero recollection of that ever having happened. But it was our regular, like, family vacation spot was Orlando. My parents both love it. It's not that they had any kind of deep-seated history themselves, but it was just timely. We were 80s kids, and I mean, 1989 was the dawn of a new Disney era, and I was 7 years old. I was the target audience for that Renaissance slew of films. Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas was actually one of my favorites. Aladdin, like all of those, I was the target audience for that, and it worked. Sure. It worked. I was all in. I was all hooked. But I always did enjoy the classics as well, if you will, like the original Disney princess films are something that, I mean, little girls like myself and my sister we were raised on that entirely. So my, I guess, infatuation with all things Disney and then starting to backfill the historic aspect of it, the history of the company and where it came. Like, this is part of where my friendship with JT sort of like blossomed in that space, that wanting to know what happened behind the scenes and like the making of all of these things that we love so much, that we were so passionate about. That really started to form a lot more in my adulthood, and where I've fully embraced my Disney adultness. Though I wouldn't consider myself the most extreme of Disney adults, because let's be honest, there are some people who are, it is their entire life, and that is, there's no shade there. Like, whatever makes you happy. Let's celebrate that. I celebrate you. I'm going to take a piece of that rainbow and share that rainbow with you, for, portions of my life, of course. But yeah, I mean, my Diz story is not all that dramatic, if you will. It's just sort of a timeliness growing up. It's just been a part of my life. Fun fact though, my mom got a job with a travel agency when we were, I want to say, in middle school. So I say we, I have an older sister. She's a year older than me. So pretty much practically twins. We did everything together. When we were both in middle school, my mom got a job as a travel agent with a travel agency so that she could specifically be their Disney rep. And this was a time where pretty much the only way to book a vacation was to go to your local travel agency and like bring an envelope of cash. And like they printed tickets out on like that special printer and everything. And my mom was the devoted Disney travel agent at this agency. And one of the perks of being a Disney rep was that she got half off of resort stays on Disney properties. And her only motivation for getting this job was for that discount so that we could continue to take family vacations to Walt Disney World. That was great. It's also interesting to me that my very first visit to Disneyland, California, the OG Disney park, was in 2019. I had never been before then. And JT was with me on my very first visit there back in 2019. And my parents have never visited.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Well done, Mom. That's a really what an amazing thing that she did for you. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Sharon's a special lady.
Good job, Sharon.
Good job, Sharon.
Good job, Sharon.
Thank you for sharing.
Hey-o.
Sharing.
Thank you for sharing your access.
Sharon, share alike. Well,
Yeah.
Do you have, Melanie, just a couple like fast answer questions? Do you have like your current favorite Disney movie?
Current favorite Disney movie, Frozen 2.
Ooh, good answer. I celebrate that answer. Do you have a favorite Disney park that could be, like Disney California Adventure, Epcot, or Disney World at large, whatever you want to answer?
I'm going to say Epcot, even maybe not Epcot today because of the construction and transition.
Yeah.
Unless you like dirt.
Yeah. Like my heart loves like the classic Epcot. I know when they announced that there's going to be Epcot Forever, which is only Epcot temporarily, like the Nighttime Spectacular. Epcot for now, Nighttime Spectacular. I love that particular show so much because of those deep cut, like really original Epcot. Epcot and I are the same age. So like Epcot 82, I was born in 82, Epcot 40. I went to Epcot on my 40th and I was like, oh my God, Epcot 40 everywhere. I can't even take it. I love it. It is a park that I just, that's a happy place for me is Epcot. And I don't know if I'll find something that will ever replace that.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's true for a lot of people right now. Like Epcot currently is like, okay, we're waiting for her to like get past this in between stage right now, but it's sort of like
she's in the
Epcot
cocoon
in my mind. Yeah.
Yes. She's in the cocoon.
That's
I think
right.
of her as a butterfly. Like right now, she's the caterpillar on the mushroom. She's surrounded by some smoke. And then next thing you know, she's just going to open up her wings and fly, and it'll be like nothing we've ever seen before.
That's what they should call the current nighttime show, like the Epcot Chrysalis right now or something.
Ooh, that's actually, Chrysalis.
I like it. Maybe that's my new drag name.
I was just about to say, Patrick, that should be your drag name, Chrysalis.
Chrysalissa, maybe.
Chrysalis.
I like that. All right. Well, we go on tangents.
We go on.
Do. We do.
Yeah.
We go on.
We go on.
I love it. Indeed. Well, speaking of the Disney parks, let's get into it. We are here to talk about your most recent trip, both you and JT, to Walt Disney World. You were there for the Festival of the Arts, which I think, JT, that was your first time experiencing Festival of the Arts, is that correct?
Second time experiencing
the second
Festival
time.
of the Arts. My second time farting, Patrick.
What are we even doing here?
It was my second time farting.
Oh, well, okay. Thank you for that acronym. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I can proudly claim to have been there both times he's farted.
Fantastic.
They were both memorable.
Yeah.
Yes.
But once a year it happens and we celebrate it. It is a festival after all. Okay, so beyond the Festival of the Arts, what was sort of the occasion of your trip this time around?
So, Melanie and I met through theater, and we have some good friends in the local theater company.
Should we tell them? Should we tell the listeners how you and I met?
Oh, I guess we should. Shouldn't we?
I mean, it's a little bit of the Distery.
It actually is. So Melanie and I were both cast in a show at the theater company that we do things at, in a show called Boing Boing. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything about Boing Boing, there's a lot of making out in Boing Boing. And and it was literally JT, this is Melanie, JT, now start making out.
Fantastic.
And so we did that. Melanie broke my gold star status.
Oh, dear.
Although I guess it doesn't count if it's on stage. And there was a week where she was gone in the middle of rehearsal. And I was like, we are in the middle of rehearsal. Where is this girl going? Like, she's going on vacation in the middle of rehearsal. Well, I found out she was going to Walt Disney World. And so I was like, oh, carry on. And when you come back, we'll be good friends and it'll be great. And so that's how we met. And through this theater company, we've met a lot of other wonderful people and people who we've been in shows with, who we're still friends with today. And the great thing is some of those people are also big Disney fans. Mm-hmm. And so a couple of our friends are DVC members, and they wanted several of us to go on a trip together, like a Disney adults trip together. And so they used their DVC points and rented a 3-bedroom grand villa at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. And that is where we all stayed for the first part of the trip. And then we'll get into this, but they all left about halfway through, not because of anything we did. It was always planned for them, not because I farted. It was all planned. It was always planned for them. They were going to leave. And then Melanie and I stayed a few extra days and went to a different resort, which we'll get into. But yes, that was sort of the occasion for going. We also, of course, had friends running the marathon. And so we made sure that we arrived in time to go to the finish line of the marathon and cheer our people on, which we got to do on that pretty shortly after we landed, actually, on that Sunday.
I love that. So you were both there for just over a week or just about a week?
40 days and 40
Sunday
nights.
Sunday to Sunday. It was a full week. Yes, it was 84 years.
Yeah, we were there for 8 days and 7 nights. Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
I totally understand. Like, I know you're joking, but it does. There is something about a Disney trip that after day 4 or 5, at least for me, it feels like we're here for how many more days?
Yeah.
What on earth are we going to do for these few days? You find, of course, that's a privileged thing to say.
Yes.
Like, you're going to find lots to do, but it does feel like a very long vacation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It does. And your body tells you that, like your feet and ankles, and also, like, there's only so much food you can eat and drinks. Well, yeah, and until your body's like, hey.
And your pants are like, whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I love it. So you touched a little bit on this, but I imagine you stayed in more than one place on this vacation. So tell us about the Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge experience, and then tell us where you went after that.
Yeah, so the Animal Kingdom Lodge experience, if you've never stayed DVC, it is a little bit of a different experience than staying at like a hotel. There is a little bit more independence in how your stay is. There's a little bit less of like the feel of constant service. You can get constant service if you want it, but there's a little bit less of the feel of that constant service from a hotel. It's a little bit quieter. I found Melanie, I don't know if you found that, but it was a quieter, very peaceful. Yeah. On the whole. And it's just, there's obviously more room. Like when you're staying in a 3-bedroom villa, that's like larger than the house I grew up in. Legitimately larger than that. It's just it feels like just a different, maybe a more relaxed experience in some ways. There's more space, there's more quiet. When they say welcome home, it does really feel like you're kind of going back home when you come back to your villa. Yeah.
And Kidani Village in particular, because it is so far removed, it does feel like you're on another planet. It is, I mean, you look out your bedroom window across your private balcony. I mean, how bougie can you be that you're just looking at giraffes just munching on breakfast while you're drinking your coffee, and you're like, who needs Kilimanjaro safaris? I could just look out my bedroom window. or it's, and while I'm doing laundry, because there's a full washer and dryer and a full working kitchen with a dishwasher. You're essentially in a house on the savannah, on property, but also so far removed physically from all the hustle and bustle that the Disney parks and Disney Springs and like sort of that main hub of like the Disney tourist area feel. You do feel not isolated though. You feel free. I don't know how else to describe it.
No, that makes sense. And it is intentionally built that way, right? Because of the care of the animals, they need it to be a little bit quieter. And so that's why all those properties are so far away from the fireworks and the hullabaloo of Disney. So it makes sense that it would just feel a little bit more serene, right?
Yeah. It does. And we did take advantage
serene.
of that.
That's a good
serene
word.
is a great word. Yeah. And we took advantage of that. And like we made sure we, availed ourselves of like the restaurants on property at the lodge. And we had a resort day and we walked around and looked at the animals and we talked to some of the cast members working that can talk to you about the animals and tell you more about them. So we did it. We sat by the pool and had drinks by the pool. So we made sure that we availed ourselves. We worked out in the fitness center.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we just made sure we availed ourselves of all the things that we use the washer dryer, like all the things you don't always think about on a Disney vacation. Like Melanie and I think we both said this is the first Disney vacation that either of us have had where we had a resort day where you didn't go to a park. You just stayed at the resort.
I have never in my life done that. Never in my life done that. And I remember when we had it sort of planned on the itinerary, I texted JT and I was just like, how am I going to do this? Like, I don't know. Cause I have a hard time sitting still on a lazy day. Like I could not compute like the idea of just like, what do you mean I'm not going to the parks on that day? What am I going to do all day? And he was like, look, think about it this way. You're at Animal Kingdom. It's beautiful. You'll have a book to read. You'll find a beautiful spot to sit. You'll go to the pool. You'll walk around. You'll find this lounge and have a drink. You'll find this lounge and have a drink. I was like, ooh, smart. Snacks and drinks. Snacks and drinks. Let's put it, there it is. There's the central topic there. And actually that's really kind of what we did as a group. Like we shared a group breakfast that we had prepared together and inside this house. I mean, we call it a hotel room, but it's a house essentially. And we enjoyed that. And then we all went for a walk and walked over to Jumbo House and walked around and explored. And then we kind of parted ways later in the day. JT and I went to Disney Springs. Folks went to different dinner reservations and stuff that they had at night. And I can't say that I would do that every trip. Because it depends, honestly, like how long of a stay that you have, depending how much you want to get into it. But what a valuable experience just enjoying where you are. Like how much of a different like mindset when it comes to vacationing. Because it's unusual to consider a Disney vacation as a like a relaxation vacation. I never really think about it that way. Like, who needs sleep? You're at Disney. Like, rope drop to park close. Like, isn't that kind of the point? Well, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It's a good testament sort of to how the magic of a Disney vacation isn't just at the parks, right? It's everywhere you go. You can find it there. I talked about it a little bit on the last episode that my friend Justin and his husband Jack and I unintentionally had a resort day after the marathon on our trip because we were like, I just physically can't go anywhere right now. And so we sort of grounded ourselves. We put ourselves in a corner and stayed at Coronado Springs for the day and just walked around and had meals and had drinks and just we had this unexpected day of magic within Disney, not at a park. And if you can afford it on your vacation, I don't mean financially afford it. I mean like time-wise afford it. I agree with both of you. I fully recommend doing it.
Because if you think about it, I mean, you're spending a not insignificant amount of money if you're staying on property. So I don't think you have to think of it as like you're losing out on money by spending some time at your resort because you are paying to stay there and you're paying for all the amenities at that resort. You know?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, speaking of Coronado Springs, I believe that was your second destination on your trip, right?
It was. We took a page out of your book, Patrick. And what a page it was.
It is a beautifully illustrated page in that book. That is a gorgeous addition to Coronado. I've stayed at Coronado Springs. I believe, JT, you've stayed there as well, but never in the Gran Destino Tower, which is...
And Gran it is.
What an enhancement. It is just stunning.
It's breathtaking in spots. I mean, it really is gorgeous.
Yeah. So to go into that, tell us about your experience there. Like, what were some? What did you think going into it, and like what surprised you, or like just give us the whole rundown of your experience there? Because I also, as everyone knows, celebrate the Gran Destino Tower at Coronado Springs.
From the moment we arrived, we were given the white glove treatment by staff. Like, cast members were there to greet our lift and we're helping the lift driver take our bags out of the car. And we're asking, like, are you checking in? Where are you coming from? And just kind of engaging with you, and not just welcome. Here, you can step into the lobby. It was a very
deluxe.
personal. It was giving deluxe. It really, really was. And as the moment you step in, like their lobby, just everything is so beautiful. It is so beautiful.
Yeah. It's so open and like airy and elegant, but also striking at the same time. There's like the colors are really bold. The architecture is really bold. Everything about it is just bold. Like, you walk in and you've got this, right off the bat, you've got this grand staircase down to like what is really like the lobby sitting area and the Barcelona Lounge, which is a coffee bar in the morning and then turns into a cocktail bar after 3 p.m., which is my kind of, I mean, coffee in the morning, cocktails at night.
Yeah.
That's my kind of place.
Oh yeah, she transitions from day to night very seamlessly.
Can go from day to evening. And then you outside those huge windows, you've got, El Dorado. Is it El Dorado? Is that the name of the lake, or lake? What is it called?
Great question. I can't remember anymore because now I only think of it as the Three Bridges restaurant that's there in the middle of it.
But you've got the lake out there, and you've got the other areas of the resort, and there's the walkway path that goes all the way around. I love how they've connected the tower with don't they call it El Centro, where you've got the Panchito's Gifts, and you've got El Mercado Market.
The market.
You've got the Rick's Bar and Lounge.
And you've got Mayan Grill. And mm-hmm.
But what we really need to talk about is on the top floor, Patrick.
I mean,
and that is Toledo and Dahlia Lounge, because that to me is also what elevates Gran Destino Tower into like, it's like deluxe but moderate prices, because it feels very California Grill up there to me, where you go up in the elevator and that's all that's up there is just the restaurant and the lounge. And it's just so beautiful. I love that it's themed to the Destino short that Walt Disney worked on with Salvador Dali. The views are... I leaned over to Melanie and I was like, is that Galaxy's Edge out the window? It was just... I mean, and the cocktails were amazing. The food at Toledo is absolutely delicious. Just spectacular. I mean, Melanie, did you feel the same way as me? Were you as impressed as I was? I mean... I
was awed. All right. So I sat there just kind of researching Destino, the film. As the moment I saw the portraits going into the Dahlia Lounge of Salvador Dali with Walt Disney, my mind kind of hiccuped because I was unaware of this. I didn't know that Gran Destino Tower was an homage to this short film collaboration. I was like, I don't understand what I'm looking at here. Like, this just, what does this mean? What does this mean? So I want to say, what is it now? 2023. So it was the end of 2021. I went to St. Petersburg, Florida with a girlfriend of mine, and we went to the Dali Museum, which weirdly is in St. Petersburg, Florida, of all places. Yeah. And it is beautiful. And he was a fascinating man. He was a wine collector. He was famous for the parties that he would host. He was just an interesting person who has a clearly unmistakable signature look with all of his pieces. So walking into the Gran Destino Tower lobby, I saw this one giant portrait on one side of Walt Disney with Mickey Mouse. And on the other side was this woman. And I had no idea who this woman was. And I even, JT, did I say it? I'm like, who is that? And neither of us knew.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out who it was.
I realized after we went upstairs to Dahlia Lounge that the portrait in the lobby, it's Dahlia, who is the main character in the film Destino.
Mm-hmm.
And like
it's brilliant.
It's so niche. It's such a deep cut. Like there's so few people who would ever recognize that off the bat.
Yeah.
And they made it larger than life. That kind of brave, courageous choice, so beautifully executed. And every little detail is so beautifully curated in a way to give such respect to this incredible artist that collaborated with Walt Disney. I love it. I love the homage. I want to spend more time there to just explore all of those details because it's really special.
It's one of the more brilliant things, I think, that the Imagineering teams that work on the resorts, I think it's one of the more brilliant things they've done in a long time in terms of like taking something so niche as a short that Disney and Dolly worked on that was, originally supposed to be part of Fantasia and build a whole hotel tower around it, but so beautifully and just the right amount of like influence and it's just so niche that it's like, and it's one of the things that it is a deep cut. You do kind of have to dig into like Disney history to like fully appreciate it. But I think that's one of the best things about it.
Well, it marries all like everything you're talking about right now. It marries that short into it. It marries his relationship with Salvador Dali, the Goodwill Ambassador tour that they did to South America. It's all sort of in there somewhere. And everywhere you look, every piece is just thought out so meticulously that you're living in history right there. It's absolutely gorgeous.
And it works. I think it pretty seamlessly flows into the rest of the resort. I think they did a good job at making it fit and not feel like it's this random tower that has nothing else to do with the resort.
Yeah.
You still feel like you're at Coronado Springs and it all works together. Yeah.
But it has that elevated feel to it.
Right. It's sort of, you were alluding to this a little bit earlier, but it's fascinating that it is still a moderate resort, but it's serving, deluxe looks. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's really beautiful. I highly recommend it. But I also don't recommend it because I always want to get a room there.
Yeah,
don't go if I'm going.
No. I heard there's bed bugs.
No hot water. The AC is broken all summer.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
rude cast members, everything. It's awful.
Yeah, it's not a must do. Not a must.
The drinks are swill.
Okay, so now that we've talked about where you stayed for about 45 minutes, which is fantastic because it was good information to have. You talked a little about who you started your trip with, but who else did you sort of get to hang out with? Did you meet anybody? Talked about the people.
Yeah. So, the first thing we did when Melanie and I, we literally threw our bags out of the lift at Animal Kingdom Lodge and said, "Here, take these." And we got on a bus for Epcot because we wanted to make the finish line for the marathon. And our friend Derek from the Mad Chatters, who we talked about earlier on this podcast, we got to see him at the finish line and kind of toast him with some champagne. We saw another friend of ours, Jeff, who was also running. I think he ran the Dopey. And we looked for you, Patrick, and did not see you. You were so fast across the finish line that, you blink and you miss, Patrick.
I said, I don't know her. I just walked right by you.
But on Monday, we did have the great pleasure of, and I know you mentioned this on the last episode, but we got to spend a half a day with you in Hollywood Studios, and you got to spend some time with our friends and just be part of our little posse for the day, which was super, super fun. And let's see, who else did we meet, Melanie? That evening, we did a little monorail bar crawl.
Yes, that's right.
And we spent, and our friends Derek and Jeremy, who ran the marathon, met us for a drink at Steakhouse 71 at the lounge. So we had a little cocktail with them and proceeded on to the rest of our bar crawl.
I see. So they decided not to meet up with me in Hollywood Studios. They skipped that line.
That is correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
I see you now, Derek. I see you. Okay.
I mean, you get a lightning lane for what you want to get a lightning lane for. I don't know.
Yeah. Listen, I can't fault anyone for not wanting to hang out with me.
That is not true at all. No, I think you were already. I think you were already like in the air when we did this bar crawl.
Yeah, this was later in the evening that they found time to meet up with us. So.
And then we also had the very great pleasure on the Friday night of our trip, which was the opening night of the Festival of the Arts. We had the great pleasure of meeting up with Patrick, our fellow GDTD co-host Ryan. Delight, just a delight. I know.
I don't know her either.
And also as well as Ryan's friends and my friends now too, Stephen and George, yes, who are also I believe listeners of the show.
Mine too. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's correct. And so we did a little bit of drinking around the world with them, Patrick.
Yeah,
I'm laughing because I happen to know that a little bit of drinking is not the correct term.
That's true.
But that's fine.
No,
I don't mean to out you two.
You know what? I'm going to say we did a lot of drinking around the world because I want to be honest and truthful in all things. And we did a lot of drinking around the world. Fortunately, we soaked some of that
but it was
drinking up
medicinal.
It was medicinal.
It was medicinal. The temperature dropped drastically. So,
yes, we did need to warm our bodies.
We needed to warm up our bodies.
Safety first.
That's as safety first.
Safety first.
Good.
But we did soak up some of that with a lovely dinner at Via Napoli. Which I have to say ended in
then we shut down the park.
Yes. A first for me was being the last people in the park where, we were being asked, do you know where you're going? By cast members.
Which is their way of saying this way to the exit.
It's late at night when you go out to the parking lot at Epcot and you can see your car. Because there's no other cars in the lot.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah.
Amazing. So you talked about some amazing drinks that you've had, but I need to know, my heart belongs to
Daddy.
Memorable food. Yeah, my heart belongs to... Yeah. No, to the memorable food that you had. Any standout meals or any standout restaurants that you went to on this specific trip?
So we did have an opening night dinner with our friends at the Villa at Gico, which is the signature dining restaurant at Jumbo House at Animal Kingdom Lodge, which is a gorgeous restaurant. And the food, for me at least, the food was outstanding.
It was outstanding. The service was outstanding as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What were some other memorable experiences we had dining wise? I feel like there were some firsts on this trip. I mean, the monorail bar crawl we've done before, but our friends had not done that before, and that's always a delight. We did Steakhouse 71 Lounge. We did Tambu Lounge because good luck getting into Trader Sam's. And we did...
And also the noodles. Like you can't get the noodles at Trader Sam's.
That's true.
So don't sleep on Tambu Lounge because you can get yourself those noodles and it's a good way to go.
The noodles that broke the internet. And we finished up at the Belle's Enchanted Library
Rose.
part of the Enchanted Rose, the library room, which was delightful.
Mm-hmm.
What else were some first? Of course, we hit up Nomad Lounge. That's always a good time. Where else did we? Oh, well, Toledo, Dahlia Lounge. We've talked about those.
I was going to say Dahlia Lounge in Toledo we did. Obviously, when we farted, we were just hitting up festival kitchens on that Saturday, which are always incredible.
Oh, they're always fantastic. And to me, there were a couple standout items that we had at the festival. One was and honestly, like for the value, it's almost like a meal. It's the grilled pimento cheese sandwich with bacon and the tomato soup. I mean, you literally get like a can of tomato soup and almost like a full sandwich. I mean, it is like for like what was it, like
That's
$9? I mean, it's really like
we could have split
great,
that. Like it was big. It was large enough for us to share. That's at Pop Eats, which is over where the Starbucks used to be.
And then the deconstructed is it
great.
deconstructed dish?
Deconstructed dish is where I got that deconstructed BLT, which has like a poached egg and tomato jam and
the
pork belly. The frangipane cake, the Mondrian frangipane cake, that's over at Pop Eats as well.
The deconstructed key lime pie at Deconstructed Dish is delightful. There's a coffee old fashioned. That's really, I can't remember what booth that was at, but that's there.
that exists.
Drink it and you forget where you got it.
It turns out.
As it turns out, yeah.
Apparently.
I mean, but there's some great food at the festival, of course.
Nice.
There really is. I had the warm brie inside the bread bowl over at France with a lovely little glass of wine. It was interesting because we were there Friday for the opening of Festival of the Arts, which is insanity, and I will never ever do that again if I can avoid it. Because people are out of their minds, just crazy, getting all of the things. Like, it's not going to be there tomorrow, and then they're walking around with their phones, blogging everything, and I'm like, I mean, just because you're here today, like, it'll still be here for the next 6 weeks. I mean, to be fair, it's not like Food and Wine, which goes on for half the year. It is just like kind of more of a truncated experience. But even so, like day one was real intense. Did we talk about the bucket? Can we talk about the Figment bucket?
We have to. Yes,
we've announced the giveaway. Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you, Melanie, for carting the bucket around.
Okay, good. So the Figment bucket was procured.
Yes. And you didn't leave it, which is a testament to a lot of things. Apparently everything was aligned that you didn't lose it somewhere on that trip to Epcot.
Very true. Yeah, that could have easily gotten left somewhere along the journey.
I was guarding it with my life. Literally, I had to kick small children away. It was amazing.
It's an interesting point you brought up, going back to what you said about the first day of the Festival of the Arts. That's actually something that is, a lot of people say, and it is true, and you can now attest to it, in that the first day of festivals, or the first day of any release, anything at Disney, maybe avoid it if you can, because of what you just said. There's a lot of people are going to be there, who want to get that exclusive, who want to get those first pictures and put it on the internet first and have the hot take on it. And God bless if you are one of these people, but they can be annoying. They can be a little boisterous. They can be a little in your face.
It's overstimulating.
It's overstimulating, and they can be a little aggressive as well, because they want to be the first, and so they're kind of unaware of natural etiquette that should be happening within the parks.
There was a moment we were in the creation shop, and I literally said, Melanie, I have to get out of here right now. Like, I have to leave this store to maintain my sanity for the remainder of the evening. It was just, there's just a lot. There's a lot going on. There's just, everybody's excited. I mean, I get it. Like, it's an exciting thing to like kick off the festival, right? I mean, everything is new and everything is fresh, and, it is an exciting time, but it can also be very overstimulating with all of the, with everyone wanting to get everything and see everything and photograph everything and record everything and all that. But yeah.
We went back on the next day, that wasn't day one, to just kind of enjoy it with a little bit less intensity. It was 10 below. It was so cold, but the sun was shining, and that was actually really just a beautiful day to just kind of hop around the kitchens. We didn't go on any attractions. We had, except for Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind. Which was not my first time experiencing the attraction, which I had done back in November when I was there for a weekend. But it was JT's first and second time, because it was so much fun that we had to ride it again if we could. And we did. We got onto the virtual queue. So
I love it. What did you think, JT, of your first experience on it?
I absolutely loved it. I had the time of my life. Like, from the queue on, as soon as you get, and I don't want to spoil anything for any of our Tweedles who haven't written it yet, but just everything about it is so next level to me. Some of the things they do, even before you board your car, just blew my mind. And then it's so smooth. The attraction is just so smooth, and the music makes it so fun. I legit had the time of my life. And we did get 2 different songs. There are different songs that you get depending on, I think it's like a randomized thing. I think there's 6 songs that are on the list that you might get. I loved both of the ones we got. I don't want to give anything away, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but it is a fantastic. I think it is definitely in my top 5 Disney attractions.
Wow. Yeah. Melanie, would you say the same?
I would now. My first time riding it, I maybe I self-induced some anxiety because I had I refused to even mildly spoil it. Like, I refused to listen to any kind of information about it. So I went in there completely blind, and I was so nervous and anxious and excited. And it was also like my first weekend away with my new boyfriend. And I was like just excited to be there with him. And there was like lots of feelings happening. And I also had not eaten anything yet. So I just had like a belly full of caffeine and feelings. And then I went on it, and I kind of made myself a little bit queasy, like just with all of the anticipation and anxiety and everything. And I walked off the ride thinking, wow, that is so intense. I don't know if I can do that again. But obviously I'm going to do it again because duh. And so we're with this big group, and I got us all onto a virtual queue, and our group was called, and we went on it. And I was just like, this is pure, unadulterated fun from beginning to end. And I'm convinced that my first experience was just all me in my head, and the actual attraction itself is just fantastic. It is the best of all of the new worlds when it comes to the ride tech that's coming around.
Patrick, are you a fan of it?
I am. I've only been on it one time, so I needed like another go round because and Melanie, you can attest to this, and you can as well, I bet. But it just happened so fast that my brain and my body were not aligned, and so I feel like I had like 4 different experiences in one, and none of them really match up to each other. So I need to go on it again. But I was screaming and laughing and overjoyed. It's overstimulation in the best way.
There's a lot going on in the attraction.
There's a lot. Yeah, for sure. Well, folks, it's time to wrap up a little bit here of our conversation, but I want to, before we do, get sort of some highlights of your trips. What were maybe the best moments of your trip this time around?
I think there was, and I think Melanie, I think you might agree with me on this. There was a specific moment on the Tuesday of the week. It was before the festival had opened, so we kind of got to experience Epcot Festival lists, which is a rare thing these days. And we kind of decided to make our own little sort of, eat and drink around the world, like our own little food festival. And there was just a couple little moments that we had that were just so like, we kind of planned them out, but we also kind of didn't. And there was one where we just, we went to La Cava and we got margaritas and we got chips and salsa outside, and we brought them into that little fountain where you sit inside the pavilion, and we just sat and drank our margaritas and ate our chips and salsa. And it was just so, and there wasn't any, like, Epcot was almost not empty, but very few people. The crowds were very low that day. So there was nobody really around us while we were sitting on the fountain, like eating and drinking. And then we went into France, and like, myself and our friend John went and grabbed a baguette and a cheese plate from La Halle's, and Melanie and our friend Sarah went and grabbed wine flights and champagne. And we found this little, we were in the wine shop in France, and there was this little like marble table off to the side with all of these wine racks around it, and the
So it's like their estates collection there in Val de France. Like if you're checking out at the counter and you look to your right, it looks almost like a little mini wine cellar there. And it's got like a marble top table, which is actually meant for like tastings and things like that. Well, I had ordered, several glasses of different things and was kind of balancing them on my hands. And the cast member who rung me up was just like, "Oh, I have a table over here. You're welcome to it." And we just kind of like all sort of convened onto this little private table in this little off section of the shop at the same time. Like Sarah and I went over and John and JT showed up. Like we all just magnetically found this space and we set up the wine and cheese and bread and we were just standing around this table having the bougiest experience you could imagine. And like people were walking into Val de France to go buy wine and they look over at us thinking, "Ooh, what did they get to do? Like, how did they get that experience? Where do I sign up for that?"
I think some people thought we were characters or something.
or like cast members, or like we were some sort of vignette, like this scene of people who were just like enjoying. But truly, it was just us very fully and completely enjoying the moment for what it was. And our friend Sarah made a statement, "I wonder what the rich people are doing." And she had there's a little bit of history for that. She said that I believe it was her uncle who would claim that in circumstances where life is just meant to be enjoyed and truly fully enjoyed, where there's wealth is not necessarily monetarily like valued, right? Yeah. It's in the experience that you're having. So I guess it's just a way of sort of remembering. I wonder what the rich people are doing if we're experiencing this. I wonder what they could possibly be doing that's better. That could
possibly be better than what you're experiencing. And it truly,
it could not. And that was definitely one of those moments that will live in my memory as one of the fondest moments of a Disney vacation. I mean, walking into the villa and looking out at the savannah for the very first time was just breathtaking. That was really special.
I bet.
I think too, just what I find the more times I go down to whether it's Disneyland or Disney World, I mean, really the highlights are like, it's spending time with people. Like I don't even have to go on an attraction. I don't have to, eat at the specific restaurant. I mean, it's great. And it's, I know it sounds very privileged to say like, oh, well, I've done all these things. I don't have to go do them every single time I go. But I mean, it even feels weird to say like every single, like you go multiple times a year, right? But for me, it's like, it's the people that you get to hang out with. It's like the half a day we spent with you, Patrick. It's getting to hang out with Ryan and Steven and George for an evening and having a drink with Derek and Jeremy, or like cheering somebody on at the finish line. It's about the people that you are with that make all the difference, right? It was being with Dan and Bev and Sarah and John in the villa and just kind of hanging out by the pool and having a drink and enjoying the beautiful sunny weather. I think that's what I'll take with me the most.
I could not agree more. It really is. It's all about the people.
I love that. You're sort of encapsulating. This is a great way to end this segment. You're sort of you're sort of encapsulating sort of like the reason GDTD and the reason Disney Buzz and all of the podcasts exist, because it's Disney. Yes, Disney provides magic, but the real magic comes from within, right? That's the message that they always want to tell you. And as saccharine as that may sound, it's a reality, right?
Yeah.
Wherever you are, you can find these magic moments, and Disney just sort of enhances that for you. It just gives you a place to have a unique experience with the people that you love. And as I can only speak for the three of us right now, I think you'll all both agree that that's what matters the most now, right? Is spending this unique time together, because those are the moments you can't get back, right?
You can make your own magic.
Yeah. Yeah. And Disney's just there to provide a little extra for you.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you both for sharing your joys and your ventures with us. It was a pleasure to have you, Melanie, on the podcast. JT, it was just normal for us, so it wasn't really pleasure as much as it was a necessity.
Just a regular,
really, to have
you had no choice. Oh boy.
No, but so thank you for sharing all of that information with us. Tweedles out there, if you have any questions for JT or Melanie, or you were there during the same time for Festival of the Arts, let us know your experiences. Let us know your questions.
Concerns.
Always reach out to us. Your concerns. Do you have a rebuttal for what they said? Who can say?
Rebuttal, hopes, dreams, disappointments, all are submissible.
Yeah.
Everything's welcome here on GDTD. You can submit those on any of the social media platforms at GDTD Podcast, or leave us a voice memo or an email at info@gazedothed.com. JT, Melanie, again, thank you. Melanie, will you stick with us and do some quick D in a little bit?
I would love nothing more.
What if you were like, absolutely not?
Well, hello, Patrick. Well, hello, Melanie.
That was the gayest way to open up the section that's ever happened. And I love it. I'm obsessed with it.
Well, Patrick, I mean, we are going to do some quick D.
That's true.
So,
there is nothing quick about Hello Dolly, though.
That is very true.
I love it, but it is a long musical.
Yes, the quickest part of a Hello Dolly is how quick I got out of my costume when I was in it at the end.
Yeah.
Patrick,
11:30 p.m. after the show.
Well, Patrick, do you want to do some quick D?
I always want to do some quick D.
Yeah, Melanie, how about are you feeling some quick D?
I'm down to do some quick D.
Okay, down for the D.
I'm down for the D.
All right, let's do it.
Love it. Well, as per our new usual, we have some listener questions submitted that I have just opened up on Instagram, and sometimes I'm shocked at what I see. So some of them I just will not read out loud, but I do have. Maybe we can get through two of them. We have one that might be easy to answer, and then one that could get us into some trouble. So let's start off with the first one.
Are we getting canceled tonight?
We might get canceled. That's okay.
All right.
Let's start off with @JoshBenami saying, fill in the blank. I can't leave the Disney parks without buying at least one blank. I can't leave the Disney parks without buying at least one drink for a Disney dad. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I simply can't leave the parks without doing that.
I mean, the audacity.
It's true.
Yeah.
The real answer is a pin. I can't leave without lately it's the Disney pins, and the Disney 100 pins, I'll tell you what, are beautiful.
They are gorgeous.
I left with 3 of them on my last. I think and I only paid for one, but I left with 3 of them. Just kidding.
So you can't leave without buying a drink for Disney. I can't leave without buying a Disney dad.
Oh.
They're a little pricier than the drink, but longer shelf value.
Yeah.
No, I would have to say I can't leave without buying a mug. I have to take home some kind of Disney mug to add to my collection.
I'm not allowed to buy any more mugs. I think I'm cut off.
I
No
should
more
cut
room in the
myself off, but I
cupboard.
don't. Yeah.
Well, I feel like I'm going to fail by not coming up with some clever Disney dad comment here, but I can't leave a Disney park without buying a Dole Whip because I am a pineapple princess and I must have a Dole Whip in my life.
That's fair. That's fair.
I just gotta be honest.
We can't get on property. We'll have just gone under the sign, and Melanie will look over at me and she'll be like, "Do you want to get a Dole Whip?"
Dole Whip? Is it time?
I'm like,
Is it time
"Let's
for a
get to
Dole
the
Whip?
hotel first."
I know, but like
That's
we're
fair.
here, so Dole Whip, right? Dole Whip.
Is that like the new like hashtag you up? Is it? Do you want to get a
Do you want to get a Dole Whip?
Hashtag Dole Whip question
Dole
mark?
Whip.
Dole Whip.
Hashtag Dole Whip? Question mark?
Oh god.
If it isn't,
like
it
that.
is now.
I know.
I
I'm
am
starting that
adopting
from
that
now on.
from
It is
here on.
now.
Yes. Mhm.
That tiki room is so enchanted.
Dole Whip.
Dole Whip.
Oh, that brings me great joy. That brings me great joy. Okay, moving on to our second question. We have one, very appropriate because I believe he's going to be in our next episode. It is Chris from @wishful_thinking.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris. Saying Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway opened today at Disneyland. What were the other attraction names Imagineers considered for this ride? Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Ooh, let's see.
I would call it Daisy Steals the Show, is what I would call it.
Obviously.
She...
boots the house, literal boots the house down. And
Mickey and Minnie's boots the house down.
Literally.
Mickey and Minnie's boots the house down, runaway runway, extravaganza, eleganza.
For your life.
For your life. Run away for your life. Oh my God.
Obsessed with that.
Oh my God. Oh, two mice stand before me.
That will do it for this episode of Gaze Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gazedothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gaze Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast. Submit your questions or show ideas to info@gazedothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See ya real soon.